Welcome to the Consciousness Anywhere and Everywhere podcast. I am Shannon O'Hara, and I invite you to a completely new world of possibilities. I am so excited to bring you the second money interview. Just a heads up, you're going to hear me refer to some other money interviews in this episode with Simone, and we recorded these in a different order than I'm releasing them. So just so that you know, all the ones that I'm referring to will appear down the track as we go through these money interviews. Have fun, learn something, and what would it take for money to be totally easy? Welcome to this amazing money interview with Simone Milasas, who was kind enough to come on here with me. As you guys all know, watching these, I have invited the very incredible people who have contributed to my financial abilities, aptitudes, future, and possibilities. And Simone, you are definitely one of those people. You have given me so many different perspectives about money and given me, quite frankly, you've been one of the most inspiring people for me in business and with money. And you really allowed me to stretch farther, choose bigger, be greater in so many ways. So thank you so much for coming on here to share a lot of that energy in these money interviews.
Thank you, Shannon. And I'm very grateful for that feedback too, because I feel exactly the same way about you. So,
money.
So thank you. And that's the way it should be to me, leapfrog.
One of the things I actually wanted to mention too is that you actually have a book called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. I forgot to mention, I think now that I'm remembering, I forgot to mention that some of the other people that I've interviewed in this series also have books, but they're like, my dad has written several money books. Gary Douglas, Stephen Chichester Bowman have written, I believe we mentioned their books. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, there's authors in this series. So one of Simone's books, she's a multiple book author, but one of them is Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, which just the title in and of itself is so fucking cool and different.
Yeah. Well, I did that title too because I wanted to screw with the way people looked at it, because most people look at debt as something that's terrible and awful, and they look at getting out of debt is going to be, even painful, harder.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm like, no, what if you did it joyfully?
Right. So one of the reasons why I wanted to create this series, my big inspiration was what I would call the lack of education about money, but there is a lot of education about money in the world. But I was reading this book, for example, called Billionaire in Training. Mm-hmm. And he has so many points of view about the way that works and how, and I'm just and after I read it, I was just sort of completely in the wrongness of every way in which I generate money. And I was like, you know what, there is a different conversation here. I'd like to start creating the resources. I'm so excited and inspired about money. I want to create the resources that I've used to generate and create the millions of dollars, but also the millions of possibilities and joy. So this is an educational conversation. And so one of the places I like to start these is by asking my guests, what is money?
Wow. Well, straight off, I get money is something that can bring you that can bring you more joy. Let's state the obvious. It's when we used to, well, you've been traveling, but getting on a plane, it's do you want to travel first class or business class or economy? Okay. So it can bring you joy, but I'm going to say hardly anyone looks at money as that. I know myself, I refuse to look at money. I refuse to receive money. It's something that I get people have made way more powerful than them. They've made it more significant than them. They've made it mean something greater. And one of the greatest tools I've used over the years, and it took me a while to get, it's a good thing I'm cute, is that money is not the source. You are the source of creation. And I see so many people look at the amount of people I talk to or in classes, sessions, they go, oh, if I had the money. And it's no, you're making money, that thing that is going to be the big yes in your world, rather than you have to be the one that goes, yep, I'm choosing this, I'm taking action. So money to me truly is this playground of possibilities. And it's so much fun when you learn to not make it significant and not make it mean anything, and you can have fun with it. Yet there's so many definitions of money. I choose money with joy right now, but I didn't. I did choose the judgment of money and the how can I refuse it more and how can I avoid it and how can I throw it away and how can I just like la la la, like definitely I've been there, done that. Now I choose to go with money.
And as you've stated, people make money so significant and make it the source of their reality, which is something that's really tripped me out, because I really always am looking at, well, like, why are they doing that with money? I think there's a lot of there's a lot of financial obsession that goes on in people's lives, but they don't really even know what they're obsessing about, which is a lot of what this education is about, So what is one of so you've stated a bunch of stuff that where you see people going with money and places where you've also functioned with money. What are some of the things that you were taught about money as a kid that you grew up to change and choose differently around?
Okay, that's a good question, because I remember the first thing when you said that, I remember as a kid hearing my mum and dad fighting about money, and they were upstairs fighting and yelling, etc. And my brother and I, like, we didn't really know the concept of what it was to have assets versus cash, etc. Like, we were young. And so I remember sitting on the stairs listening to mum and dad fight. So we spoke to each other and we went to our bedrooms, and apparently we came up and we walked into the lounge room and we said, hey, mum and dad, we hear that we've got no money. So we got together our best toys. What if we sell these tomorrow? And apparently, like, I got all my dolls, he got all his sports cards and everything. We're like, we can sell these and we can make some money so that we'll be okay. And apparently when the kids came up and did that, mum and dad looked at each other and went, oh my God, what are we doing? Years later, I found out that what they were arguing about was more like buying or not buying, as the case may be, more assets. And one of the things that my father was really good at was he would see a business and be like, oh, this sounds like fun. Like he was the joy of business as well. I mean, he was a chartered accountant, but he owned, from a butcher shop to these picnic tables came out in the 70s or something. And he brought that business. He worked with artists. Like, he did so many different things. So to him, he would go, oh, let's leap and do this. From working with a company that used to bring goods across from India, whereas my mum would always panic if there wasn't enough cash flow. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize it at the time that it was assets and cash flow like arguments. And I see so many people look at not creating. I mean, this is a big question that comes up too with the getting out of debt joyfully. They go, oh, well, I don't want to create debt. I don't want to have this. In truth, I'm in millions of dollars of debt right now, but I have assets. You know what I mean? But I am. It's like, I own luxury homes. It's like I've got investments in places.
If I can interrupt you for a second, that's actually a really big thing. I've actually looked at how you create with debt, because I am somebody I'm like your mom. I don't like debt. I like cash flow. And I've looked at what you choose with money and how you create with debt and with cash. And I I've tried to see the way you do it and think that I should do it that way. And then I realized, wait, that's Simone's way. That's actually not what works for me. Yeah. Which really got me more clear on how every single one of us has a different reality with money, and that's okay.
Yes. Please. Thank you for saying that, and please get that, guys. I don't know if you've interviewed Dane here, co-founder of Access as well. And I remember at one flight that we were on, a really long flight, and it was an Emirates A380 when they have that bar at the back, And Dane and I sat there drinking Bloody Marys at the bar at the back of the plane, and we spoke about money for about 3 hours. But what we did was we asked each other questions, and it was like he was giving his point of view and I was giving my point of view. And we realized, oh, if we sort of combine this together, what do we have? Like, not making either one right or wrong. And you're so correct, Shannon. You've got to choose what works for you. And I always sort of took that road of my father's. He loved investing. And to me, I love investment too. Like, I have 3 trading accounts, and it's like, I like investing in wealth creation from real estate. Real estate's always banged me on the back of the head. It's like, real estate. So it's something that I enjoy looking at. And again, like I said right at the beginning, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Like, I looked at currency trading at one stage, and we deal with so many countries all over the world and currencies. I thought, surely I must like currency trading. And I started it, and I was like, oh, I'm so bored. This is terrible. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this. It's like, it's not fun for me. Whereas right now on my kitchen bench, I actually have a portfolio sent from a trading company in Australia that I want to read tonight to have a look at to see if I want to invest more in it. And I won't read every page, but I'll look at it and go, yes, no, from this, does this, there's something that's pinging me. Okay, what is it that's pinging me? How much money can I invest? Like they're giving the share people who own shares in it up to $30,000 you can buy at a different rate by this certain time. So I'm like, okay, what do I know about this? And that's what I really enjoy, that, like being in question about these companies and the companies that they're dealing with and how that works around the world. It's fun for me. Your father is brilliant at things like antiques and many other things, but that is one thing that he is just off the charts, like incredible at. Same as Christopher Hughes. That's not my forte. And it's like, that's okay. And I love that you said that, Shannon, that it's not just because I do something doesn't mean it's right. But if something pings, like I've learned to listen to so many different people, and then I go, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? And it's like
and you're very interested in money too. Like that's one thing I know that you and I are having this conversation, and I know that this isn't necessarily information and energy that will, I don't know, be that that will be all that interesting to a lot of people. But those of you out there watching this that are interested in money, that's what this is for. This is the conversations about money that we don't get to necessarily have with our families. We don't really get to have in society, and that we don't get to learn about in business school, because frankly, they don't talk about that we're all different and that we need to follow what works for us. And that's where the money's going to come from. So that's just a totally different point of view. That's a totally different way of looking at money that's really worked for both of us and every single person I've had on this interview series.
Yeah. Hey, you did ask how I grew up with it as well. And one thing that I would say is at the dinner table, like I grew up with, meat and 3 veg, glass of milk at the dinner table, and we sat down for dinner. And you were not allowed to talk about business or money. That was my mother's rule. And I was always like, this is so weird because my dad's in business, I'm interested, my brother is, but we're not allowed to talk about it. It's like the taboo topic. And I sort of made that. I have a stepson, and when he lived with me for 8 years, and I made the demand that if he ever asked me a question about money, I'd give him the information, because I was shut down all the time if I asked. It was considered very rude to talk about.
Has he asked you yet?
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just wait for people to ask me about money. So few people ask me advice about money, which I find so strange because I've made so much money. I'm thinking, surely people want to know how I did this.
Yeah.
So few people have asked me. And then I tell them and they're like, too hard. I'm like, well.
But you know what? I think they put it into the category of I can't do this. And it's not true.
I don't know that they want to. That's the thing that comes up for me, where I see a lot of people, they think they want money because they want it to solve their problems. But then they find out money doesn't actually solve their problems. And then they're like, oh, screw it.
No, and that goes back to money can just be there for the hell of it, the fun of it.
And I'm somebody who deeply loves money and loves the companionship of money and just, I love money. And I never knew what that meant really until I started being able to choose the things that money can create.
Yeah.
Like private travel, first class travel, 5-star hotels, lots of space. One thing that my dad said to me years ago is that money buys space. And it's so true. You go to a wealthy neighborhood, there's so much space. You go first class, there's so much space. And
that is really true.
Isn't it amazing that we can choose that? So that's money has always been a companion for greater for me. So what's one of the things you see people doing that's sort of like the antithesis or the anti-money in their lives?
Well, I think one of the things I see people doing is not being really honest with themselves and truthful with themselves, because they'll ask for more money to show up. They'll say they desire more money, they want more money, blah, blah, blah. They'll ask for it, but they're so quick to refuse it. And I think that's one of the tools I used was at the end of each day, it's like, everywhere that I had not asked for money or I had refused money, I would destroy and uncreate that point of view. Because you ask for more and then you see this car drive past and go, oh, I can never have that. Boom, you just refused money. You just negated everything that you asked for. So I see a lot of people creating these conflictual paradigms rather than truly allowing something different to show up and not actually allowing themselves to ask for more. I had a conversation today with someone we both know. And I was talking about like in my neighborhood, and they said, mentioning a mutual friend, they said, I wonder if they want to live around near you. And I said, yeah, they'd love to. I said, in fact, they'd love to own a house on the beach here. I know they would. I said, but they've just got to make more money. And she went, what? Make more money? But she already makes enough money. And I went, well, what if she could make more? And I said, I know her. And I said, she's got 2 kids and 2 dogs. And I know she'd like to live in a bigger house closer to the beach. So why wouldn't you ask for more money? But this person I was talking to was just like dumbfounded. It was like this once you get to a certain amount,
that's
you should be happy and you shouldn't be allowed to ask for more, rather than, hang on a second, what if you were allowed to ask for more? I mean, Gary, your father, always says there's a saying in Tennessee that says, don't go above your raisin. And it's like, what if you were the wealthiest, richest person you knew, from your family, from your friends, to your neighborhood and everything? And what if that was okay? And don't judge it. It's like people stay in this like paradigm. Don't be too poor. Don't be too rich. Be here, because that'll be the safety.
And that's one of the big things that you really contributed to me over time. Was I did have a lot of those sort of like, I'm satisfied with this amount, or this way that my life is showing up, or what I can afford. Like, this is good. And then I'd watch you do some stuff and I'd be like, oh my God, I need to really change my ask. Like, that is so much. That is what I would see you doing things. I'd be like, that is so far out of my zone of asking for it to show up. And I'd be like, do I really want that? So this is there. I'd be honest with myself. I'd be like, but do I want that? And I'd be like, yes, I do. And then, okay.
So can I ask what? Like, do you have an example?
I remember, it's funny, private flying, chartering private jets right now is really big up in my world, because I've started to do it in the last couple months for the first time ever. And I'm like in love with it.
So much fun. Yeah.
We're so in love with it that my husband's getting a pilot's license so that we can buy a plane and fly ourselves around Europe in like a year or two. It's like, we're so into it. He's like learning all about planes and all about like what kind. Yeah. Anyways. So I saw you take a private flight, and I saw this picture of you, and I was just like, whoa, that is like completely out of my zone of reality. Like, it didn't even occur to me that I could choose that. And that was actually years and years ago. But it was that moment, there was some energy that got worked its way into my world. And I was like, well, I want to do that. And then eventually I got to the place where I could choose that financially. And that's, instead of, oh, she can do that, I can't do that. Or why does she get to do that? Or,
yes, that's the energy that so many people go to. Yeah. But can I tell you, the first time that I caught a private jet was with Brennan Watt, Dane here, Gary Douglas, and the 4 of us were going, should we do it? Should we not do it? Sort of thing. And then 2 of us would go, yes. And the other 2 would go, no. And then 3 would go, yes. And 1 would say, no. And it was like within this week, we're all like, boom, boom, back and forth. And then we eventually just went, you know what? We're not comfortable with this. Let's choose it. Is it going to change something? And we all got, oh, that's a yes. So it's not as though we were like, hey, we've got all this spare money flowing around. Like, let's just do it. It was a push when we booked it. But we looked at the energy and went, will it create something greater? And I remember it was Gary and Dane's birthday around that time. So I went and bought some caviar and champagne, and we brought that onto the plane. And the 4 of us had caviar and champagne and flew. It was within Europe. And we had some of the best conversations that we'd ever had. Those conversations alone were worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually, don't wait till you've got the money in the bank account to do it. And I'm not saying go book a private jet when you're in debt or you don't have the money, but it's like, it was a push, but we knew it was going to create something greater. And so often when you choose something that costs more than you're comfortable with, are you actually gifting yourself that energy to allow yourself to receive something more?
Allow yourself to receive something more. And that's a really huge component of what money has been a companion for me with, is it's really pushed me to receive more.
Yeah.
Which I love. I thrive. I mean, yes, it was challenging. I did the same thing with private flight. I'm like, should I, shouldn't I? This is so much money. I can buy a fucking car for the amount of money that
I know.
This flight, It was like, I could buy a small house for the amount of money I'm spending on this. And it was like, it was 100% yes, with all this trepidation leading up to it. And I just had to, but I've done that so many times before, where there's been some huge outlay of money that I could find a million reasons for why I shouldn't, a million reasons for why I should. And I just went, okay, so if there's no reasons. and the universe was an infinitely abundant and gifting space and place, what would I choose? Of course, I would choose to have this.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, someone and I are not saying that you should like over leverage yourself or be irresponsible financially. That's not what we're saying. This is a choice conversation. And that's one of the things you've actually shown me. I remember driving in a taxi. I'm just remembering all these moments that you've inspired me over the years. We were in it was a car. It wasn't a taxi. It was like a private car in Paris. I think it was an advanced body class or something that we were doing. And you and I and Dad were staying at the Shangri-La in Paris, which, by the way, if you go to Paris, stay there. It's incredible. And I came in the morning with you guys in this private car, and it was just sort of like this energy and the smell in the car and like the clothes. And it was just this sense of a life that I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And it was just an extra step to choose a car that, yes, costs a little bit more money, or a lot more money in some cases, but that I would have normally not chosen. I would have just reverted to my comfort zone of, well, this is what society is comfortable with. This is affordable. Yeah. Why would I spend more money? Why would I spend more money is not a way to create more money, by the way.
This podcast is sponsored by Consciousness. Consciousness expects nothing of you, judges nothing, and includes everything. Consciousness gifts in all sorts of non-linear, undefinable ways. If you would like to check out more of what consciousness has to offer, it's simply there for the choosing.
I want to reiterate some of the stuff you said, because I think it's really important, is that the trepidation that you have, because you do. It's like there's like that shows up, but you hurdle over it. You get over it. Like, I mean, we're talking about private jets. We're talking about luxury cars, all of that. Now, I also remember when I was backpacking in Europe many years ago, and I was poor as shit, like absolutely, like, you know, but what I used to do was when we'd go to each country, we would buy the food that was the staple. Like if you're in Poland, you bought salami. It's like, you know, you're in France, you bought baguettes, like something so that you were buying what was on a cheaper price. And what I would do is I would buy the second cheapest bottle of wine, because I didn't want to buy the cheapest, because I was like, then I'm already succumbed to, I have no money. So I would go into a shop, because I didn't really know the wines either, and definitely didn't know, you know, I couldn't afford the expensive wines. So I would buy the second cheapest bottle of wine. So even that was pushing me. Do you know what I mean? To have more and to create more. So it doesn't have to be a private jet. It doesn't have to be a luxury car. It's like, what if you just
Can I ask you? So like where was that choice coming from to buy the second least expensive? But like what was that in your world?
Well, somewhere in my world, buying the cheapest bottle of wine would be succumbing to, I have no money and I'm as poor as shit.
And you knew that.
Yeah.
And you refused to go there.
Yeah. But I made a joke of it. Like I'd always go, oh, here we are. Let's go buy the second cheapest bottle of wine in the shop. Because buying the cheapest is like, come on. I can do better than that, can't I? You know. But it was this humorous energy to me. And I was choosing to keep traveling around Europe on, you know, such little amount of money, because I was having fun. And it was like, and that was joyful for me. And so I would make the joke of it, you know, second cheapest bottle of wine.
So what's a tool or tip you would give people? What's one of your go-to tools or tips for money generation for you?
Okay. So to start off with, by the way, it's like I've used Access Consciousness tools for, 20 years. And when I started using them, they all worked. And I'd be like, wow, this works. And I refused to use them with money. I would listen to Gary and Dane, and they'd talk about these. I remember sitting in the Gold Coast, Australia, and they were doing this money class, and I'm in the audience, and I was like, oh, here they go again. These tools about money, yeah, right. These aren't going to work. And I remember sitting in the audience thinking, what if I just tried this out? Like, what if I just gave this a shot? And I literally didn't tell anyone that I was doing this, because I remember, Shannon, just prior to that, I used to smoke cigarettes. And I told all my friends that I was going to give up smoking, thinking that they would be very supportive, and they would be like, yay, well done, Simone, do this. not one person in my life was supportive. They were all like, oh, there's no way you're going to be able to do that. Oh, you'll be smoking within da-da-da. And I was like, wow, no one is supportive of this. So then I did give up smoking at one point, but I didn't tell anyone. And it was 2 weeks before someone actually noticed. So I realized that there's some choices that you have to make solo. And when I say solo, I mean make it for you. The whole consciousness has got your back, universe has got your back. But I don't know, I was surrounded by friends and family who weren't really empowering me to be as great as what I could be. And I know a lot of people are like that as well. Unfortunately, I have a hell of a lot of great people around me now who are always empowering me to be even greater. So when I heard these tools with money and I went, what if I, started using some of these tools? I made the demand I wasn't going to tell anyone. I was just going to institute them and take some action and then see for myself what would show up. And I really get that place of like, you've got to choose, like, there's all these tools. There's Access has clearings. It's like a lot of different things. But what it ultimately comes down to is, what do you want to choose? Like, what do you want to change? So I went home and I sat in my office, poured myself a glass of wine, and I got all my bills out and I got everything, I looked at my bank accounts and I just laid everything out. And I was like, okay, you've got to work out where you're at here. And that is one key element too, I think, with money is working out where you're at. And I don't mean create from that. Like, I never create based on the amount of money coming in or not coming in, as the case may be, but get clear on what's actually occurring. So when I actually calculated it all and I looked at the money I had, the money I didn't have, where it was, blah, 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 it took me a while. I looked at it and I went, oh, I'm $187,000 in debt. And I sat there and I had a bit of a like, oh dear Lord, sweet baby Jesus, like, what are we going to do now? And then that's when I went, okay, I picked 3 of the Access consciousness tools that I'd heard and I started using those. And I noticed within weeks, my financial reality started to change. But it was not just it wasn't like I was like, oh, I've got so much money in the bank account. It was my point of view. And I think that is one of the key issues is you need to have a look at your point of view and keep asking every day when something comes up to do with money, finances, wealth, riches, is this actually my point of view? Or am I buying this point of view from somebody else? Because you grow up with something, whether it's neighbors, your school, your family, whatever it is. Like, we spoke before about my parents and the different points of view. My mother was always like cash flow, worried. And my dad was always like desiring to invest in something. So it's like they're different points of view. Okay, so neither's right or wrong, but what's my point of view? So I really think starting with what is your point of view? If you were creating your financial reality today, what would you choose? And it's a great question to ask. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Oh, like, yeah.
Relax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
relax.
It's a quote I've mentioned, I think, on another one of the money interviews. But yes, I did. I mentioned this with, because I just thought it touched me so profoundly. And I get it so ironically. Jeff, whoever's the guy who started Amazon, I don't know his last name, Jeff, whatever his name, Jeff Amazon. He asked Warren Buffett, like, why don't more people like apply your investing philosophies? And Warren Buffett replies, because people don't want to get rich slowly.
Yeah.
And so it's the money thing. And it's like, I wouldn't have been comfortable feeling that I could educate or be an authority about money if I hadn't have been in the money game for 20 years.
Yeah.
Really in the trenches, working through it myself, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, earning millions, choosing more, really putting my choices in it, but really showing myself that I could do it. And money is one of those things. It's like a plant. It doesn't just grow overnight. You got to really nurture it over time. It's definitely a marathon. So thank you for saying that. And I hope those of you guys out there that do desire something different get that you can make your life easier by committing today to your financial reality, even if you don't totally get what it is. And know that everything will come as you choose.
It's like change one dirty habit today. Beautiful. Like if you find yourself going, I can't afford this, stop and go, ask a question. What would it take to be able to have this in my life?
Exactly.
And then take some, but don't judge, because the second you judge, boom, you've just gone down this big black hole again. It's like, have fun with it. And I love that you said 20 years because that's me too.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I mean, I came along and was creating a lot of debt, having a lot of fun, doing all this. I've always been able to create money, even when I was in debt. I just spent way too much. I never had a problem with money. It wasn't like I was like this like poor victim of like, oh no, I can't pay my rent. I was very good at like, you know, I don't know, getting a credit card or getting a loan from somewhere or doing whatever. And it's like, and then I went, okay, I think I'd like to change this. So when I made the demand for myself, and it really is that moment that you got to look at what is it that you desire to create and what action can you take to allow that to show up. And I've really been playing with that allowing energy at the moment. It's one of my new favorite tools, like asking, because the universe never sleeps. You ask,
and it starts percolating and simmering and mixing it up. That thing you said about asking, what's it going to take to afford this? I think that's probably one of the things I did when I saw that you took a private jet all those years ago. Probably my world was like, oh, I want that. What's it going to take? And then I completely, it went out of my head. It wasn't something I was focused on at all. But then fast forward, 6 years later, I have the choice to fly commercially back from Mexico to Europe, which would have been a logistical nightmare in this day and age. It was like, I would be like sacrificing my life force to doing this trip, or I could fly privately. And I went, oh my God, can I fly privately? And I went, yeah, I can. And I looked at my money and I went, I can afford this. I can do this. And it just, that's the thing when you ask the question.
Knowing you deserve it. It's like, really, honestly. I mean, you said you had the Bowmans on, right? Steve and Shatissa Bowman. And I remember having a conversation with Shatissa once, and we were talking about different hotels that we stayed at around the world. And we ended up getting this conversation where you went, do you do that too? And when we were traveling with our partners, we would book this really nice room and we would have, greater luxury. But when we were traveling on our own, we'd book like a small room and da-da-da. And I was like, right. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to start booking really nice rooms that's just for me. And it was both of us sitting there going, oh, yeah, we're worth it too. And it's not like, I know it sounds so cheesy going, you're worth it, but you are. Like, this is your life. This is not, as I say, a practice run. This is your life that you're choosing right now. So are you enjoying it? Like, do you want to be in hell getting the commercial, flight home, or choose the jet when you can? And I mean, do you want to be in poverty choosing the cheapest bottle of wine, or do you want to just reach a little bit more and choose the second cheapest bottle of wine? Wherever that is for you. Yeah. Because if you know you can reach and you leap, find out what happens. I mean, I've lost money. I've failed at companies according to this reality. I never look at it as failed. And then I've made lots of money. I've lost in investments. I've made money in investments. I've done it all, but it's not about getting it right. Every single choice I've made has put me where I am today and given me so much more information to choose something different next.
Keep on choosing.
Yeah. And I read this interview with this guy. His name's Mark Burris, and he's from Sydney. He's like west of Sydney, like supposed to be, upbringing, very average sort of thing. He's a very successful businessman now in Australia, worldwide actually. And one of the things he was saying is he had this interview, just forgotten the guy's name, like big tycoon in Australia. Anyway, he asked him, and he said, have you ever failed in business? And he said, I knew the moment he asked me, he wasn't asking me to see if I failed, then he wouldn't hire me. He was asking me to find out, what did I choose next? And that really is it. It's like, if something doesn't show up the way you think it should show up, or you lose money or something like that, it's like, what are you going to choose next? Don't sit in that and go, oh, I failed. No, you didn't. It's like, that was just a choice that went a bit haywire. It's an adventure. Now what? What are you going to choose today?
And every choice and every failure gets you a step closer to knowing what you would desire to succeed at and how to succeed at that. And so this is some of the education that, it's like, look, they're not teaching this stuff. I know I didn't go to business school, so it's I feel a little bit.
I wrote a book called Joy of Business, and I didn't go to a business school. Funny one.
So, okay, yes. So I'm going to I'll link to Simone's books, Simone's podcast, Simone's website down in the description of the video, so that those of you guys that want to get more educated and learn more of this energy and this way of doing things, have access to that, because you're so great at creating resources for people.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on to this with me. Those of you guys watching this, you're probably going to want to re-listen to this like 27 times to really extract, and we talk fast. And I know we're saying things that seem like maybe a pipe dream or, if only, but not really. Like Simone and I started from nothing, zero. Well, Simone started from negative. She got herself into the negative, and got out of that joyfully. And what would you like to choose? What kind of companion can money be for you in your life? And what would it take for all of money to come to you with ease and joy and glory? Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to make consciousness easy to find and choose. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and share this with somebody who you know who might be looking for more consciousness in their life. You can visit me on shannon-o'hara.com or talktotheentities.com. And to learn more about the amazing tools of Access Consciousness, you can visit accessconsciousness.com and be sure to subscribe to the podcast.